It's another edition of Riding Home here on Dog Post. Welcome to everybody listening on YouTube, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Matt, the Georgia Bulldogs have been pretty. There's someone calling me probably for a recruiting update. They've been pretty busy on the recruiting trail. Let's go through this list of kids. A couple have committed. A couple I've visited lately. Smael Bowden from sort of northwest Georgia or northwest Atlanta in Dallas. He's a 6'3", 220-pound athlete from Paulding County. And then Chief Borders from McEachern, who I don't think has an offer from the Dogs right now.
No, they are two of the best 2021 prospects in the state of Georgia. Mondon is a big-time jumbo type of athlete, like you said, 6'4", 215 out of Paulding County, who visited Georgia yesterday. So that would be Thursday. And then Chief Borders picked up an offer from Tennessee earlier this week. He was at Georgia, definitely a guy on their radar, another jumbo type of athlete, 6'4", 6'3 range, tight end, receiver, linebacker type. So he's a guy on Georgia's radar as well. So a couple of 2021 guys visiting, or did visit. Chief and Mondon visited yesterday. But, Dean, they've got two four-star offensive linemen who are going to be in town, too. Four-star guard, center type, Sedrick Van Pran out of New Orleans will be visiting. And I do think Georgia is a team that he really, really likes right now. I think he's a take in this class. He's a guy Sam Pittman really likes. I think Georgia's going to take two interior offensive linemen in this class. And Sedrick Van Pran out of New Orleans could be a guy who makes it in this class.
I thought you were going to say the same guy twice. Go ahead. Who was your second?
Chris Morris, a four-star offensive tackle prospect out of Memphis. They're going to go heavy at tackle in this class. I think, obviously, Broderick Jones already committed. Tate Ratledge, a big target there. But watch Chris Morris. I think Arkansas is in the mix, Tennessee, Auburn, a few schools like that. But yeah, he's a guy Georgia's been recruiting for a while now, so he will be in Athens too. So two high-level offensive linemen for Sam Pittman to keep building that relationship with. So those are two guys to keep an eye on.
And then two other guys I want to touch on. David Daniel from Woodstock, an athlete, and then Jalen Kimber, who was a corner from Texas. Where is Georgia with those two guys? There's been some stuff here lately with both of them as well.
Yeah, I think Georgia sits in a really good spot for Jalen Kimber, one of the top cornerback prospects in the Midwest. He plays out in Texas. Solid four-star guy, not the biggest dude out there, but he knows how to cover. He's quick, and he makes a lot of plays.
I love how, those of you who do recruiting literally every second of the day say not the biggest. That means they're not big, right?
Right.
That's basically what that means.
Right. I mean, I think he's around 6 foot, but he's not heavy, I guess is what I should say. He's kind of on the lighter side, but he's not super short or anything like that. But he is a highly regarded cornerback prospect. I think Georgia's definitely in the mix. This was a visit that he wanted to take for a while now, and I talked to him earlier. He said he got a lot of time with Kirby Smart, Charlton Warren, Dell McGee. So he had a really good visit this past yesterday. He'll be at South Carolina and Clemson today which is Friday, and he'll make his way over to Alabama and Auburn this weekend. So definitely another guy to keep an eye on. And then David Daniel out of Woodstock, 2021 kid that I really like. I think he's probably better suited to play safety at this time, but he picked up an offer from Georgia in January. He's picked up a bunch since, so he's another in-state guy in 2021 to keep an eye on.
So if you look at all this, this is just sort of a sampling, but half the guys we talked about just now are not from Georgia. When you look at Georgia's situation, this roster is becoming less and less dependent on kids from the state. When you look at the calendar here coming up, you're going to see Clemson and, I don't know if we're going to put South Carolina in Clemson's stratosphere of recruiting, but Clemson, South Carolina are this weekend coming up, the 7th, I should say. The 14th, Auburn, Alabama, and those guys. And then the third weekend, Georgia, the day before Easter, will host. That third weekend, which is Georgia's basically by themselves, will give them the ability to get all these, I don't know about national guys, but guys not from Georgia to come in. Should folks be expecting more and more that the Georgia Bulldogs be made less and less of kids from Georgia as time goes on?
Yeah, I mean, Georgia's going after the top kids in the country, no matter where they're located. Keely Ringo, a five-star cornerback, visited Georgia earlier this year. He made an announcement that he'll be coming back to Athens for G-Day. Mikhail Sherman, a five-star linebacker from the D.C. area, uh, big-time Georgia target. I think it was March 1st when he was in Athens. I think he's going to try his best to get back to Athens again for G-Day is what he told me. Those plans aren't set yet, but I mean, they're going everywhere. And for a big weekend like G-Day, expect them to try to get as many out-of-state targets as possible to come in at the same time. They can host their in-state targets kind of whenever they want, but it's these big weekends like G-Day and the ones they have in the summer at the end of July. That's when, you can really tell who Georgia's going after hard is who, which out-of-state guys they're really coming in and making a priority on big weekends like this.
Okay, we talked about recruiting a little bit. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to what Kirby had to say on Tuesday with the video that we've got on Dog Post, but he seemed much more bullish than I can recall him being in general of late. Now, of late, they lost 2 games, and Kirby's not been available to the media very much since January 1st, only 3 times, I think. But it did strike me how, I don't know if positive is the right way to put it, but in a press conference where he talked about 2 of his players being arrested, two players who will probably play a lot this coming year, he seemed very bullish on Jamari Saylor, Nolan Smith, on Jermaine Johnson. He seemed extremely pleased with where the program was going. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to that. Maybe they just had a good practice, Matt. I don't know.
Yeah, that was the practice I was at, and it felt like they gave the media a little bit longer time to watch practice than normal. Maybe that was just me, but yeah, we did get to see. I felt like it was a lot, and Kirby was in a really good mood, which is something that struck me, right off the bat. He was energetic, but in a good, positive way, yelling from different sides of the field to the opposite sides of the field. I mean, he's got those Eagles' eyes out there. I mean, he really does see everything, and these guys are on their toes. Every rep means something, and it's a very energetic practice, and I can see why he's excited about Nolan Smith and Jermaine Johnson. I watched the outside linebacker group in the very beginning, and those guys definitely stood out. Brenton Cox definitely looks the part too, and it's kind of the leader of that group. But Jermaine Johnson and Nolan Smith, I mean, they definitely catch your eye. So, and they were highly ranked because of it. Obviously, we've been talking about Nolan Smith for years and have covered him, a lot now. So we know how good he is, and you can just tell that Kirby's really excited to coach these guys. And it definitely came off that way in practice, and it was nice to see him do that in the press conference too. You can tell he's really excited about this team and a lot of this young talent that he's got on defense.
There's 2 guys I do want to see versus he also had a lot good to say about DJ Daniel, by the way, and Tyreek Stevenson.
Yeah.
But there are 2 guys I do want to see, and I know we're coming close to the sort of cap that we put on this in terms of time. There are 2 guys I want to see, and they won't get there till the fall. Zion Logue, just because I want to see how he competes against the guys that are there. I mean, he really did a pretty good job in the high school game that I watched him play in Nashville area. And then Lewis Seen, I mean, where does he fit into this? A guy that we've not seen play live as Dog Post reporters. We haven't seen him play live. Where do those 2 guys fit in? That's what I'll be looking for. Are there any other guys in this 2029 class? I mean, 15 of them are already up there. So,
yeah. Well, Lewis is there.
I'm sorry. Well, then he's not stood out quite yet. That's my ignorance.
Right. Well, I tell you what, that defensive back group is big. I mean, definitely needed a roster when I was out there, especially with the new numbers they have. It is a large group. So it's, not crazy that he's not standing out immediately. He might with his play, obviously practice and all that. And he's going to play a lot at his time at Georgia, but there's a lot of guys, and that is a very crowded group. So whoever does win those starting jobs is really going to earn it. But like you said, Zion Logue definitely looks the part. You saw him play earlier. We'll see how he can come in and play with the other guys and see just if he can take that next step. But Nakobe Dean looks really good, kind of the smaller guy out there. Ryan Davis looks really big. So, again, we talked about it a lot, but a lot of young talent on defense.
Yeah, I am interested to see Zion Logue. I'm interested. I'm not trying to project here. I mean, I think he
Right.
is the least one of the least valued players in this class, and I actually am bullish on his future versus where he's coming in at. If he were a stock, I would buy him because I just think with the body type he's got and he made plays when I watched him play. I was impressed by him, frankly. But when you compare him to Dominique Blaylock, to Pickens, to Nakobe Dean, guys like that, I mean, he's not on their level as a prospect. But he'll have time to grow, and he may play this year. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Another interesting guy that I know you kind of mentioned this, and I kind of didn't answer your question. Brett Seether, the tight end.
Yeah.
I think he could come in. Again, Georgia and Alabama went after this kid hard after his senior year. He really blew up late, and he's one of those new type of tight ends who can catch over the middle, make a big play. Charlie Warner's going to be the guy. John Fitzpatrick's going to get a look, but they need depth at tight end. So if he can hit that weight room hard when he gets there and is able to show that he can play physically, he'll make some plays.
I have been criticized for talking over you, so I'm trying to be very nice during.
Oh,
these
really?
things. Yeah.
I can talk, but go ahead.
Yeah, neither of us have any issue with talking.
So.
But with Seether, here's my question, and we'll stop here in a second. But did Georgia go after him? Obviously, it was a massive need, but was Alabama after him for the same reason Georgia was, or did they both identify him late in the process? Was he a guy that both teams needed because of depth, or was he a playmaker?
A little bit of both. I think he was on their radar early on, but once that senior film came out, and Todd Hartley was really big. Without Todd Hartley, I don't think Georgia gets him or really shows interest and really pushes for him. So Todd Hartley was big in getting Brett Seether, and I think Alabama was kind of in the same position that Georgia was in. They needed some depth at tight end, and he was a guy who they could go out and get last minute, who really does have great senior film. I mean, the kid can play. But Todd Hartley in the end won out, and Georgia needed him.
They do, and they've got Wolf coming in as well. So I mean, they're not. They have now 5 tight ends on scholarship coming in right now. You got Warner, Wolf, Fitzpatrick, Godey, and Seether. Well, Godey's going to be recovering from ACL, but they do have 5 guys on scholarship. If you just go down real quick on the scholarship numbers, and we'll check out quarterback. They've got 3. 5 at running back, 11 at receiver, 5 at tight end, 15 at offensive line. Now, my defensive line and linebacker numbers are goofed up, but there's 30 total of those people. So you've got, I would say it's probably 16 linebackers at this stage and 14 defensive linemen, because we have guys like Nolan Smith as a defensive lineman. He's definitely not a defensive lineman, but you get my point. Front 7, you have 30 people. And then your secondary, it's got 15 scholarship guys and 2 specialists. Right this second, that's 86 guys. And we'll just see where it goes forward from here as far as how they calibrate the roster. They don't have a lot of fat to cut here, Matt. And that's another discussion for another time. Matt, wrapping up this weekend, Under Armour is Sunday. Closing thoughts here on Riding Home.
Yeah, it's camp season, so hopefully we'll get to see some Georgia commits and targets out there. I'm hoping Broderick Jones shows up. It'll be good to see him get out there and play. He doesn't do a ton of camps. And Justin Robinson, the wide receiver 4-star commit that Georgia has down in McDonough. So hopefully he'll be there. I don't have a roster yet, but there will be lots of coverage and content coming out from that next week on Dog Post.
Thanks for visiting. Thanks to everyone signing up. We're coming in and closing on a year here. We've had a tremendous first year. It's a lot better than I suspected it would be. And so thanks to everyone signing up and continuing to sign up. Go over to dogpost.com, dawgpost.com, and click the subscribe button, not only on Dogpost, but also here on YouTube, iTunes, and SoundCloud. Thanks for listening to us today. This is dogpost.com, Dean Legge and Matt DeBerry.